Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Juvo HubPodcast. I'm your host, Jonathan Saar, and today we are talking about instructional design. Focus of this particular episode is what can you do to make a course that's actually going to stick with your learners, stick with your students. Often it starts with what are you making? Why are you making it? What is behind it? Sometimes we get in such a rush when it comes to our training that we are just sent a topic and we just rush right into making the content. But when it comes to instructional design, we know there is a whole lot more to that overall process than just understanding what the subject is. Our goal when it comes to being an educator is to go beyond the subject and really think of who our students are. What is our target audience? When you take that time to go through the exercise before even getting into the subject matter that you are working on, it's going to help with creating a really well done course. So that's the takeaway from today's episode is don't be in such a rush to make course content. If you want something that is actually going to be engaging and that's going to stick, especially with people's schedules, often people have this, a misconception about online training in particular, that whatever you're going to give me is just going to be boring and that I have to do it because it's part of my learning plan, it's part of my compliance requirements, so let me just get it over and done with. But when we take the time to really focus on the needs of our students, the needs of our learners, we're going to give them something that they can look forward to. One of the key things that is out there, everyone knows from an educational perspective, is something like Bloom's taxonomy. Check that out. We'll put a resource to it in this podcast if you haven't heard of it. And that really helps us to understand the difference between what type of education that we are creating. Because from a technical perspective, you could say to yourself, well, I know tools such as Articulate, so therefore that makes me an instructional designer. Possibly, yes, from a technical perspective. But the focus we're thinking of today is the people. Are we going to make something that is actually going to stick? Can you think of times that you have made training where it didn't? What did you learn from that? What were your takeaways? What were your lessons learned? So as a talking point, as a teaching point for this particular episode, that's my reminder I wanted to share. Sometimes I've rushed into making content or kind of skipped some steps because we're trying to hit some sort of a deadline. And without having that meaningful conversation, often the client is not really impressed with the content that is being made, or the impact it makes on the learners is just not there. So it doesn't take a whole lot of extra time, but when you have that type of conversation, then you're going to have way better outcome, much better course. So give this question some consideration. Instructional design and taking the time to really think it through, you only need that for academic courses, long courses, in-depth courses. And the answer unequivocally is false. It doesn't matter what type of content that you're making, whether it's microlearning or if it's some longer form piece of content course. Thinking of the design theory behind instructional design is going to make you a better educator. So that's our chat for today here on the Juvo HubPodcast. Thanks, everyone. Until next time, class dismissed.